but I had no groove.
Hey, welcome back to Shaun Spins. This is episode 32, and I'm your host, Shaun, and I hope everybody is safe and well out there. Good news! We got one of those lights. Let's see how it works. Whoa, is that bright? This looks interesting. Hey, I could be like Iron Man! Producer doesn't look too happy. Yeah, I could see why you didn't want me to have one of these. Let's start the show. There's a lot of construction noise outside my apartment today. Don't they know we're filming? That didn't help. Well, episode 32 of Shaun Spins is Deep Purple, made in Japan, 1972. Great album. Right after Deep Purple, Machine Head, which is one of my favorite albums and my favorite album from Deep Purple. I love that album so much that Deep Purple has had many, many albums, yet in my world they've only had one, which is Machine Head. Now, Deep Purple at this time was Ian Gillan, vocals and other instruments, Roger Glover, bass, John Lord, the best piano player and organist ever, Ian Pace, drums, and Ritchie Blackmore on guitar. Now, as I said, I love Machine Head, and I have multiple formats of it. I think I have 4 copies on vinyl, one at work also. I used to have the original cassette from my father, and when we were 16, a good friend of mine was in a really bad car accident, and the car was totaled. And the tapes were in there, and they were lost. And I remember my friend coming to see me after the accident, and I was glad he was all right, and yet he was upset about the tapes. He's like, yeah, the tapes are gone. So years later, I found some of those tapes, and I found Machine Head at a truck stop in Florida about 20-something years ago, and I gave it to my father to make up for the one we lost, and he gave this back to me years later. One of the other tapes I lost, which I found a copy of too, is Jim Morrison's American Prayer. Now, this tape is the ultimate, Machine Head is the ultimate album for a car. It's great. Years back, I went to look at a used car with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and I brought that tape with me. And she said, why are you bringing this tape? And I said, it adds 10 to 15 horsepower to the car. It's like adding a turbo or a supercharger. I feel the same way about Al Green's music. Same effect on, just great for driving. Machine Head is just a wonderful album. You know, one big reason is for most beginning guitar players, the first song we learn how to play is Smoke on the Water. Beginning guitar. And another big reason for me is just the songs are just great. You know, dare I say, the start of heavy metal music. And Ritchie Blackmore is an amazing guitar player, and John Lord is an amazing musician, and Ian Pace is drumming. It's one of the only albums I'll play air drums to on the song Space Trucking. So of course I'm going to love Made in Japan. I have a few copies of Made in Japan. This is the deluxe CD. It comes with some extra tracks. A good friend of mine gave this to me years ago because to him too, this album and Machine Head meant everything to him. CD sounds great. Let's take out the original vinyl. Ugh. I love how the vinyl just completely covers the screen. I always have to find my way into the screen. Hello? 1972, as I said, shortly after Machine Head, this comes out. So a bulk of the album is Machine Head. There's a few other tracks too, yet it's Machine Head added time. Like the tracks just go on forever. Check out the album. One of the things I find interesting, it's a gatefold, yet the gatefold is upside down. So you gotta, there you go. Now, one of the things I find interesting about Deep Purple is while doing all this, I discovered that, the bass player, Roger Glover, did a lot of the artwork on the covers. And I never knew that until recently. And I'm like, a lot of these covers, Roger Glover. And I love that. I love musicians that put in the work, not just playing the music, but doing the art. And I love that. Now, the concert is from multiple days in 1972 in Japan, yet it flows beautifully. It doesn't feel like it's stop and go and it doesn't feel like it belongs together. It's great. Now, my favorite song on it is probably Highway Star. That song is just amazing. Yet every song on the album is great. Child in Time is great. Smoke on the Water is good. It's a different way of playing it in the beginning, yet it's great. It's got The Mule, Strange Kind of Woman, my father's favorite track, Lazy, and then it's got Space Truckin'. And Space Truckin' is amazing on Machine Head. It's one of those songs I play air drums to. Yet on Made in Japan, it's like 25 minutes long. It's one side. Unbelievable. The album is just phenomenal. And as I said before, a big thing for me was the organ playing, Ritchie Blackmore's guitar playing, the drums, everything. I'll tell you another thing too. Ian Gillan's voice on this is phenomenal. His voice on Space Truckin', I can't think of another singer from that time that has a voice like that. It's great. It is great. So, as a guitar player, as I said earlier, one of the first songs a lot of guitar players learn to play is Smoke on the Water. So a big influence to me playing guitar definitely was Ritchie Blackmore. Now, one of the things I never understood about Ritchie Blackmore is his Stratocaster, the necks of them were scalloped. Takes the wood in between the frets and they carve it out. And I always thought that was kind of interesting. A few times in my life, I've attempted to play a scalloped guitar. Didn't work out too well. Now, the thing about Ritchie Blackmore is I feel as though his guitar playing is influenced heavily, not only by the organ player, yet heavily influenced by classical music. And growing up, when I was in college, I took a music class when they would teach us like classical theory, and definitely can hear this in Ritchie Blackmore's guitar playing. There's a few other guitar players I've heard this in too. Mainly we got Ralph Macchio. Ralph Macchio? How did Ralph Macchio get here? That's not even real. That was a movie, Shaun. So the main ones for me in the world of guitar playing that is influenced by classical music is definitely Randy Rhoads and definitely Jason Becker. These two guitar players and Ritchie Blackmore heavily influenced by classical music. And it's interesting how they took classical music and just kept growing with it, with their style and creativity, and formed a new style of music. Each one of those guitar players have done phenomenal things in music. Now, if you're wondering, well, Shaun, Where do you really hear the influence of classical music with Ritchie Blackmore? Definitely the solo from Highway Star. Not only is the solo going off the organ player solo, like pretty much note for note, yet it has this truly classical feel to it. So what are my final thoughts about Deep Purple made in Japan? It's great. Machine Head, it's awesome. And it's great that they came out back to back. And as I said, Made in Japan is basically most of Machine Head live, just extended versions. And I said to you earlier, it's one of my favorite albums in the car. And be safe out there on the road, everybody. I will say this. I was a little upset when new cars started coming out with no cassette tapes or CD players. I was like, how are we supposed to listen to Machine Head? It's one of those albums, like, it should just become a standard thing when you go to a guitar store. And I talk about that often. Like, if you buy your first guitar, they give you certain albums. This is one. Yet also, if you're learning, like, piano, organ, drums, like, here's Deep Purple, made in Japan. It's a how-to instructions. It's a great album. It's the only band that the organ player has inspired me playing guitar. Charlie Parker inspires me in his music, yet this is the only band on an organ. And I grew up loving the Doors. Yet Ray Manzarek, I've never listened to a Doors song and go, I want to play guitar similar to Ray. Yet with Deep Purple, oh yeah, inspired me tremendously on guitar from the organ playing. It's a great album. I really recommend it, and it might inspire you to want to make music, which I recommend to everyone to pick up an instrument and make music and be creative. So that's about it for episode 32. So until next time, I hope everybody's safe and well, and be nice to each other. I am finding more and more people in the vinyl community either gossiping or being mean to one another, and I find it really interesting because some of the individuals that are picking on people are the same individuals that don't like people talking about them. And I'm not understanding that. And I'm not understanding that. Like, you don't want to be picked on, yet you'll pick on someone else. So I say it all the time. Be nice to each other. And until episode 33, take care. I am Iron Man! What? Put the light down?